Look at this. Look at the battling, and it is a safety car. Here comes Mika into Stoke Corner. Whoa! Almost! And away we go here in the Netherlands for moving down towards the next couple. Oh, and it's! Oh my god! Whoa! Bit of a season as Nolo wins! In Monza for FRLT Tier 1 of 4. And right perfect. Oh, here he goes! Hello, and welcome to FRLT Season number 5. And it is time to have a bit of a different day because it is the mystery race here, here in No Assists. We are about to get underway, but before anything, we do have the track of choice to do very quickly. We do have the track of choice to do, and it is spinning the wheels, so let's go and do that straight away. So it could be any of these 6 tracks: Great Britain reverse, Austria reverse, China, Hungary, Saudi Arabia, or Spain. Let's spin. What are we gonna get straight away into this evening? We're going to get Hungary, or is it? It is Hungary, and that is the track for tonight. Hungary is our track of racing. So we're going to move over to here. So let me quickly, I'll sort out the screens as well. But that is that essentially. So yeah, so now the track is Hungary, which is going to be an interesting one. And that is what we're going to be getting onto very shortly. And we are going to be readying up in the next few moments. So, this is not the track. It's not the track, but I will find the one that is on my list of tracks, because I do have it on here. And here it is. Hungaroring, 4.381 kilometers, 2.738 miles, 14 turns, 2 DRS zones, down the pit straight and down that second straight. So that is the track. Let's have a quick look at the standings as well. Here it is. SET lead the championship by just 4 points over EVR in second. It's very, very close at the top of the championship going into tonight. 4 points splitting the top 2, but it is ultimately 23 points splitting the top 5 in the constructors. As you can see, it was a good weekend for SET and Rosso, pulling themselves into not only the lead but also into third in the championship for Fritz's Rosso. Looking at everyone else though, it's looking interesting. VRE joined the grid as well coming into this week as well. They start on 0 points. It's late in the season for them, but they come into it here tonight. And let's have one look at the calendar. We've gone through Belgium. Belgium? I've just created a new country. Monza, Belgium, Australia, Singapore, Las Vegas, Mexico. And this week, we come to the mystery race, which is right after our lovely break week. Next week, we go to Great Britain, then Bahrain, Japan, Kota, Netherlands, and then a mystery race to end off the season. But we are finally now into the race. Well, not into the race, into qualifying is what I should really be saying. My brain just not working at all. Brain's really not working tonight. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. We should be having somebody else join. So we should have, I think we have 15 at the moment. We should have the 16th joining very soon. This week's been a bit strange. I know that a lot of people are on holidays, which is why I know numbers have been slightly difficult for teams to find. It's because... just got to quickly check something. Yep. So, as you see, only 15 drivers for the moment. I do have one driver to invite. There should be just one driver to invite at some point during qualifying. First driver out on track, and it is a debuting team and a debuting driver here. Well, not actually a debuting driver, but he's driven in FRLT before. But debut for a brand new team on the grid, VRE. Going in that McLaren. I will say, like, the one reason why we actually do sometimes, I think a lot of teams struggle for numbers, and I haven't just seen this just like, for instance, here. It's mostly when it comes down to mystery races, because nobody wants to have the chance of having something they don't like. And so they'd rather just miss it, which is part of the reason why we do this, is so teams have to have those drivers that they need. You know, they have to use everything that they've got. But we get to see our debuting, the brand new debuting team, be the first ones to start off short qualifying here. It's nice and dry. They'll be hoping this for the race as well. Hungary brings a bit of a different challenge to every season. Brings a very different challenge. We don't have it in the no assist calendar, which is why it's part of the mystery race. And into turn one goes David. Bit deep there. He went quite close to the chicane, really aiming for that mid-corner speed. Now into turn number 3. Getting the car down the hill. Not too bad. Pretty safe. I think, you know, track evolution, massive parts. And through the middle sector. And into the middle sector he goes. Looking pretty strong from David here. He's putting together an alright lap here. 53.9 is what's set in the middle sector. You know, I always say about, you know, these drivers, you know, sometimes it's quite varying in skill, but tonight we've got quite a decent grid on our hands. We've got some quite fast drivers. Inver, Speedy, David crosses the line, 1 minute 15.814. And that is the first lap of the night. And not great, not terrible either. Better than nothing. It's going to be Petrus in, across the line. He can only do a 15.9. Not the best for himself. Theo can also do a 15.9, just going that bit quicker. Not a lot more in it. Looking to the next driver, it is Willian. He's just about half a tenth down, actually, on David at the moment. So everybody's pretty close to VRE's, so far, leading driver in qualifying. Everybody's very much on the back of him at the moment. And across the line, Willian goes fastest of all to a 1 minute 15.753, ducking to the 1 minute 15s. LMB can only go into a 1 minute 17.4, a tough one. There, he's a bit off for himself. Speedy now goes fastest of all, 1 minute 15.383. Very, very strong lap from himself. And that is actually quite quick. Connor went P4 there with 15.8 as well. So looks like Speedy very much on his own for the moment in this session. The bar Tsunami isn't going to complete a lap. Invalidated there. Misha coming around. We've seen Misha before. We saw him back, I think, season 2. And let's see across the line. He can only go P7. Struggle on the first run. Alberto just beats that. And also goes P7 as well. Mario Amoroso for OMB. They took pole in the opening 3 races. They took all 3 poles in the opening 3 races. And they haven't, I don't believe they've taken pole since. So in the last 3 races, they haven't taken a single pole. Maybe that redemption is coming back. Maybe they go 3 races on and 3 races off. Who knows? Who knows? We'll have to see. From what I've seen, I think 4 different teams have taken pole. 3 for OMB, 1 for 3 other teams. So I have to say it's quite interesting to see that. And Liam Hiley goes, or Hiley, I'll say Hiley for now. Liam Hiley, P2, TDR really pushing tonight. Also with a 15.23 drivers, all within those lap times. Very, very close between the top 3 at the moment. Very, very, very close there. I did not expect to see that, to be honest. Williams already starting another lap, so already coming straight back onto it. For himself, still a couple of drivers missing. A couple of drivers without laps. 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th. Without laps. Manilo is on lap now. So is Willian. Willian's coming quite... Is he pushing? No, he's in... I don't know. I don't think he is. Doesn't look like he's pushing. Looks a bit too much of a rough run, I'd say. But... So... It looks like there's been a bit of trouble for one team, and that's SKG. They haven't submitted the lineup for this race. So there won't be a 16th. There was meant to be 17 drivers at least. Doesn't look like there will be, as SKG have forgotten to put in a lineup. That is bad. That's a big mistake. Willian comes in anyway. But that is a really big mistake from a team like SKG, you know, who are in the championship battle, you know, down in 5th in the standings. You know, you need to be there. And now they've got Rosso, SET, OMB, and EVR all running, both drivers going flat out. So that's not great. That's going to lose them a huge amount of points into tonight. Not what you need, really. Not what you need at all. Manilo making his way round. It's not going to be an extraordinary lap, I don't think we're going to see from Manilo. He goes ahead of LMB into P11. He goes, no, like I said, not an extraordinary run from himself. I think Bourbon Boy. I think it's Bourbon Boy next. I will say, it's always difficult round a track like this. You know, it's a very close and difficult circuit to get used to. And Bourbon Boy has invalidated and now backs off on his run. So we got to watch the other driver from the new team of VRE on his lap. Let's see what he can do. He is currently last for the drivers with lap times, 1 minute 17.4 at the moment. Way off of the lap times. I mean, 10th is 16.4, and that was with blocking. So it's looking like sort of 7/10 across the grid so far. Realistically, in lap time, about 7/10. So Liam's got to find a lot more time in his lap. And at the moment, he's hitting a little bit of traffic. He's found the 2 Ferraris. He's also going to find a Haas around the final corner, giving him some dirty air, which isn't going to help Liam on his way, but he will get a little bit of slipstream. Let's see what he does when he crosses the line. He improves to a 16.8, but he's still far, far away. He needs a whole second to go P6. As now Inver reaches the 15.2s, he finds that bit more time in there. And that's what I'm talking about, finding that little bit of time. Think we've got somebody coming round. That's Mario, who's making his way around. Then it's Liam, who's following behind. Then it's David, who's invalidated his lap ultimately. He was up by 2/10 in that middle sector as well, so he's actually going very well there for himself. It's Connor who's coming around next. Let's see, how can Connor do when he crosses the line? And across the line he goes! Fastest of all! 8/10 found! What a lap! 1 minute 15.0 is the new one to beat. Impressive. Misha goes P7. It's loads of drivers jumping around in lap time. Still 2 drivers without a lap so far. The Bard Tsunami being one of them. And across the line, P12 only for the Bard Tsunami, so a bit of a tough one there for himself. And you see Baldwin Boy invalidated ultimately, but he is going to be going for, I think, another lap here, so another chance for himself. Mario making his way round on his lap. He's got to find this pace, he's got to find the speed. He's P3 at the moment. He needs now another 3/10 to go into provisional pole. Still 6.5 minutes left in the session. Across the line, he does go provisional pole, and to a 1 minute 14.847, exactly 2/10 ahead of Liam, who's just crossed the line in P2. So he goes to a 1 minute 15.047, and that is incredibly close from the two of them. And across the line, William goes and improves by over 4/10 to P5. Pace really showing up so far. There goes Alberto, who finds 6.5/10 and he goes P6 ahead of Speedy. SET's day not looking the best for the moment. It's not looking perfect for SET right now. Bourbon Boy on his lap at the moment. Oh, and he's just gone over again. He just doesn't seem to be able to get a lap put together perfectly yet. He just can't seem to do it. 2 runs so far. 2-3 runs and still unable to. But he is going for another lap. It looks like he's going for multiple runs here. Interesting to see. Mario isn't on his on a lap at the moment. Liam isn't, of course, either. We have got Theo, who's out on an out lap for the moment. I think we've also got Alberto. Is he going fast? No, he's not. He's going nice and slow as well. Same as William. Who is on a lap? Manolo, and I think Manilo's the latest actually to be on a lap. Yeah, Manolo will be the latest to be on a lap so far. Let's see how he does. He's up by 2/10 in his first sector alone, so he's clearly finding time. Might not be that that first sector where he's losing a lot of time. 6/10 found now in the middle sector. It looks like he's mostly battling over that 13th place with LMB in the 13th, who's actually about to begin his run as well. Probably his final run to the session. A little bit wide there, quite wide from Manolo. Not what he needed. And across the line, he will go P13 and finds another 4/10 over LMB. And it's Bourbon Boy slowly crawling back round to the pits for his final run. Theo is down by a 10th in his first sector, so he's not having the best of runs so far, keeping it within the white line. Still a 10th down, so he's actually lost a little bit more time there. So he is roughly equaling out with his previous lap. So clearly the track evolution not entirely there for VMV. And in the pits he comes. He's done with his lap there. I think LMB is the next one to be on a lap. And he's gone wide, but he's still going. He's still pushing. Making his way around. He's up by 0.4 of a second. That's what he needs to go into P13 and pull himself a lot closer to the pack at the moment. It will pull him right up to the back of the pack, but he needs to find that little bit more time in this final sector, because this quite possibly will be his final qualifying lap here tonight, unless he rushes round. And coming up to the line, he goes to a 16.2 on the dot, but still finds himself about 2-3 tenths away from the pack at the moment. A bit of lag there for LMB. Bit of lag there for himself. One driver's out and about to go for a run. That's EVR Connor, who is pushing for pole here. He's just over 2 tenths away. He's 0.02 of a second behind Liam in second, and he is just over 2 tenths behind Mario in first. So will OMB take their 4th pole position of the season, or will it be TDR, will it be EVR, will it be SET or Rosso? 5 different teams inside the top 5, and strangely and quite rarely TDR up there as well. That's one of the biggest outliers so far this season, will probably be TDR up in the top 5. But Connor on his way. Let's see what he can do on his lap. He's got some pace behind him. He's proven that already into turn 1. You can just see the sort of different drivers taking turn 1 quite differently. Connor going for sort of more of an average sort of corner, trying to get the best average speed. A little bit very deep there from Connor, and he's backed off ultimately. He does not feel like he could do any more with that. I don't particularly disagree. I don't think there was much more he could do there. He just went way too wide. Next driver to be doing a lap is Speedy. Tough session so far for SEC a little bit. 4th and 7th, not where the championship leaders want to be. They still lead the championship currently, based off of positions at the moment. But it's that risk. So let's ride on board with Speedy on his final run. Let's see if he can make it all the way through. We know one driver only made it through turn 3. Almost made it through turn 3. Let's see what Speedy can do. Into turn 3 he goes. That's the sort of line you need to be hitting. That's why Connor backed off, was because he couldn't get that line right. A minute left to qualifying, so some drivers having to rush around the track a little bit. Speedy up by 13 thousandths in the first sector. That will be enough to put him into P6, so jump up 1 position. Only if Alberto improves on his lap. Making his way around. Speedy. This middle sector is actually, I have to say, this middle sector is very long. In sort of distance for the first and third sector, this middle sector is incredibly long. And across that middle sector, he's up by 0.3 of a second. This could be pushing himself into provisional pole. He's gone a little bit deep there, a little bit hungry on the brakes, but he's got to get this section hooked up again, a little bit wide there. The Haas having to stay out of the way. TDR driver, I think that was the Bar Tsunami who had to stay far, far out of the way there. And across the line, it's P2 for Speedy. Just misses out on 14.9, but a very good lap otherwise. Petrosian coming round. What can he do? He stays P8. Then we've got Invert heading round. Where does he go? He stays P5. Not enough for himself. Theo's up by a bit. He goes P9. What a lap. Willian across the line. Stays P6. Drivers not finding a lot of improvements on their final runs. Alberto's into the pits. I think it is Connor. Connor's invalidated, so Connor's chances are out of the window. And that's that for his qualifying. That's all over for him. Bourbon Boy next. Where can Bourbon Boy pop himself? P5 is where Bourbon Boy pops himself. And that's a great lap there from himself. Manolo can only go P15. You've got to look to Misha next. Misha's up by a small bit, not by much. And only P10 is what Misha can do. David goes P8. And Liam, at the last moment, grabs provisional pole, but there's still one more driver to cross the line. That's Mario, who's yet to cross the line, but he's going slowly and hasn't been able to find the time. Speedy as well did his lap anyway, so that is that. I do believe, actually, the Bard Tsunami was last to cross the line as he goes P12. And it is Liam Hiley from TDR who take pole. I have no words. Break week. Mystery race as well, right after the break week. And we have TDR on pole. The team that sits last in the championship has taken pole position. So let's go through the running order of the grid. Liam Hiley is on pole, followed by Mario, Speedy, Connor, Bourbon Boy, Inver, William, David, Alberto, and Petrosian. Then it's Misha, the Bard Tsunami, Theo, LMB, and Manolo. Whew, interesting. I'm actually surprised. I am going to say I'm massively surprised by the order of drivers there. Disappointing start for VRE, I'd say. You know, they're not as much in the mix as I think they'd hoped they were in the mix. I don't think... I think the drivers, you know, I think that qualifying session was a strange session. I think it proves that even like mystery races really do shake up things. Ninth in the championship, not last anymore, but ninth in the championship. I've just gone and gotten pole. That was, you know, I didn't expect that. You know, I could see it from the start of qualifying that TDR were up there, but, you know, and in the chance for pole, but that's why I don't think it surprised me so much. But looking back across this season, it really does surprise me. So, there are a few more. Of course, it's round 7 of Season 5 of No Assists here in FRLT. Can't believe Season 5 already. It's absolutely crazy to think about Season 5. But, yeah, it's interesting to see. It's round number 7 of the season. It's gone by really quickly. Round number 7 to 13 left. 6 more races after this. It's about the halfway point of the season now. We've reached about the halfway point of the season, including qualifying sessions and stuff. So it's going to be an interesting one here tonight. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how everybody's going to do. Strategy-wise, I'm not sure. If I was being entirely honest with you, I'm not sure what the strategy looks like. I'd say definitely hard to mediums is what we're going to see. I think sort of hard to mediums are mostly what we're going to see. Maybe a soft runner or two. Maybe LMB running out on the softs. Maybe just running out on the softs. It's not like, I don't know. But maybe they will run out on the soft tyres. But I think it's interesting to see that a lot of drivers that you'd expect to be higher up, like Misha, David, LMB, I think quite a few drivers that are known in the community for having pretty good pace, even drivers like Bourbon Boy and stuff, you know, expect to be a little bit higher up. But still, you know, it proves that mystery races really do shake up the grid order. I think somebody asked me a few weeks ago whether when we did the mystery race and assists, whether we'd be keeping this for next season. I'm not sure yet. I will be honest with you. I'm not sure whether we're keeping this for next season or not. I know some teams and drivers have had objections to this, of course. I know they've had some objections to mystery races. I don't blame them for that, to be honest, to have objections to mystery races and stuff. But I can see we're about to get into the race for tonight. And here it is. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Red lights, and away we go here in Hungary for FRLT Season 5, round number 7, and it's a mystery race in no assists, and it's a great getaway from Liam Hiley into turn 1 already. He leads away. Whoa, there's a Ferrari at the back that's gone round. I believe that's Bourbon Boy that's gotten spun round there, and now XPG are both at the back of the grid, and it's not been the best of starts for some drivers. You see a lot of battling happening all round. Battle over P3 here. Speedy and Connor battling for position. Whoa, and Speedy's having to go off, and onto the grass he has to go. And ultimately that drops him down behind Connor, but he's able to stay in front of his teammate Inver for position, and that's a pretty strong staying for position there. Williams had a bit of a tough start as well, because if you have a look, you can also see his teammate Petrausen going down to P12. Not the best of starts for some of the drivers, but Liam Hiley gets away incredibly well off that start, and already up ahead by already half a second in this race. You can see already starting to break away a little bit from Mario in second place, and it's an absolutely brilliant start from TDR, leading a lap here tonight straight away off the opening lap. You will not believe how many teams this season haven't led off of lap 1. I think in 4 of the 5 races the team that's taken pole hasn't led the whole of the first lap or crossed the line in first. But Liam will. Very surprised, like I said before the race, very surprised that TDR took pole. It was a very interesting pole position to see. But it's interesting seeing a great start by David up into 6th, up 2 places off the start of the race. So let's have a quick look at the tyres for everyone. At the moment, it is medium tyres for the whole grid. I did not expect to see that. I think that's the first time this season that's happened. We know Misha's up 3, LMB's up 4 as well, down 9 for Bourbon Boy, up 2, like I said, for David as well. So, I'd say very interesting to see VRE maybe showing a good start to their campaign. Already on for 8 points here tonight, based off of where they are, so not a terrible start. Already should push themselves up 2 places, up into 8th in the Constructors. I know, it's going to be 8th in the Constructors after tonight's race, after 1 race, to already go from last to 8th. Not too bad for themselves, but a long way to go in this race. 35 laps, and we're only on lap number 2 so far. So there's quite a while to go, but this is what's going to be interesting. Who can do the best on their tyres? Because David is struggling a little bit with the dirty eggs. He's just dropped out of a second. He's able to hold on to DRS for now, but we've got to look to the lead. Look at this. Mario down the inside on Liam. Bit of contact there between the two. You can see they're still both battling it out for position. You can see Liam's using his battery. Mario isn't. And down the inside he goes. Who's going to have this? They're still side by side for the lead. It looks like, whoa, getting really off track. But it is Mario who takes the lead. For the first time since, I believe, round number 3, OMB are actually on to lead a lap of a race since, I think, about round number 3. So they've waited a good old while, but it seems like they go 3 races on, 3 races off for everything. Poles and laps led. So interesting to see. But Mario into the lead of this race. But that little battle has allowed Connor to close up a little bit. Same for Speedy and for Inver. David as well has been able to catch up just a little bit. It looks like the front two, they're battling. Not doing great for themselves when it comes down to that. And now, heading down the pit straight once again. Here comes Liam. He went for the outside, but he's going down the inside. This looks like Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen 2021 level of battling here between TDR and OMB over a race victory. OMB started the season in style. They took poles. They even got a victory in Belgium and a dominant 1-2 as well to go along with that victory. But now they're battling over a win here in Hungary in the second win of their season. With TDR, EVR, SCT and VRE, it looks like David's made a mistake because he's dropped off now. He's actually 1.7 seconds behind it. It looks like most likely he's lost DRS here. That's not good for himself because it leaves him in a very weak position because he's got very speedy drivers behind him, Roberto and Misha and Willian all behind, followed by then his teammate down in 10th. So we could be seeing David drop down quite a few places if he gets anything wrong, as we see Misha runs off a little bit there. But everybody inside of the top 5 keeping up with Mario. But I've got to say, SET, they've not been on top every single weekend, but they have for this last week, 1st and 5th. Yes, was the best finish out of any team and best overall finish, but still, you know, they're not always taking victories, but they still have that consistency as a team. And here comes Alberto on David into turn 1, and he takes a great position there. Brilliant overtake. He got the move done early on David. It's clear to see David is struggling on the medium tyres a bit. It's clear to see that he hasn't got all of the pace behind him, because he just seems to be dropping off quite quickly off of Alberto as well. So maybe some struggles coming the way of VRE here tonight. LMB, though, with a good start. He's up into P10 and keeping up with the 2 in front of him and his teammates. So as long as he can keep doing that, maybe some more positions when it comes down to the pit stops. But Mario still leads. Some more laps led for OMB this season. This is, I'd say, probably the most interesting point of any season. Is around round sort of 6 to, I'd say, about 8. You get an idea in those 3 races of who's truly in the lead of the championship and who's truly battling it. But from round 6, we've had very different ideas as the Bartolami now comes in to do a pit stop. First driver of the night. No penalties for anyone yet, so looking not too bad there for himself. Looks like Misha's had a bit of a struggle. Oh, not leaving Willian a lot of room. Not leaving him a lot of room at all. You see, LMB trying to make his way past. Still unable to. Still unable to make his way past into P9, but he almost got it there. Looks like Willian just used that bit of battery, but you can see Misha's struggling a bit now as well. He's clearly made a mistake or two, because he's now dropped to 1.3 seconds behind when he was just about 4/10 behind. David as well has been able to catch up as well. So now this isn't a 5-driver group. This looks like it's about a 7-driver group who are all battling for the lead. And for David here, this is quite good because, you know, we were talking just 2 minutes ago that he looked like he was out of contention for that sort of any of the top 5 positions. Now he's back into it. It's Theo. Said about no penalties yet. Theo gets the first penalty of the night, 3-second time penalty. Very, very surprising for himself. And look at this. Connor's into the pits. He feels like the medium tyres are already done. Going on to lap 8. So 7 laps he's just done. He's only done 6 laps on the medium tyres. 6 laps on the mediums, and that's all he thinks the mediums can go. He's going to the hard tyres already in this race. I don't know what to really say about that strategy, to be honest. Very strange from EVR. Pulling the trigger maybe for an early pit stop. Maybe as David receives his first penalty of the evening and the second penalty on the grid. 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Disappointing there for him. That's going to really damage his chance, especially with 5 drivers in front of him without a penalty in this race yet. So we'll be hoping maybe 1 or 2 get some penalties and he can start making some overtakes. But this is the part of the race where it's very important to keep pushing, you know, not to get down about anything. But I will say, what is interesting to see is how Mario has actually started to hold on to this lead very well. He's led for about 4 laps now. So 3, 4, 5 laps he's led into this race. I think it's about 3 or 4 laps he's now led. And Inver, Alberto and Misha are all in, by the way. And Petrosian. So we've got 4 drivers all in the pits. So pit stops coming quite early for some drivers. And it's proving to be an interesting one when it comes down to pit stops. But when will these top 3 go in? That's my question. That's the big question you're always asking. When will the top 3 go in? And especially because these top 2 have been dominantly in the lead. You know, they haven't been outside of top 2 all race so far. Both Mario and Liam. Because they've both been sitting in this sort of in the top 2 places, a lot of people will sort of wait to see. But now with half the grid that's come in, you know, with, well, just over, you know, a third of the grid, and now now Speedy is on his way in as well, clearly showing that there is something, definitely a different strategy coming from some drivers. You can see VRE stay out longer. They feel like it's better to stay out longer. You can see quite a few teams, VMV and XPG, feel like staying out longer is the better idea. So it looks like sort of we've got what, 1, 2, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got about 5 teams here. Yeah, we've got about 5 teams that think staying out a bit longer is a better idea. I do feel bad for Theo here because he's the only VMV driver tonight. They're trying to pull off a decent championship run at the moment. And, you know, they're doing okay in the championship, but, you know, they're not where they want to be. 7th in the Constructors. Yeah, they don't want to be there, you know. They want to be higher up. And 7th in the Constructors. Ooh, going a bit off there for Theo. Quite a big mistake there. Are we going to see the front 2 come in? Still no. The front 2 still stay out. David on his own. LMB on his own a little bit. But Theo is behind and keeping up. But now you can see Born Boy now heads into the pits. I think he just knows. Because look at this gap back to 8th. Look at this gap in 8th place, right? Born Boy gets a 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That's really going to damage his race chances. He's done it I think he's done it once or twice now this season. He's made that same mistake. But you see, Connor, already up to 7th. He's only 4 seconds behind Manolo. And just over 5.5 behind Theo. And that's closing down. You can see that, you know, the gap is closing down quite heavily. David gets another 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings in this race. Again, VRE struggling for penalties, especially their driver David. Another struggle for penalties. This is a big thing, is not pushing it too far. We've seen it with, you know, we've seen it quite a lot actually this season with teams like XPG and TDR. The biggest thing that lose that XPG, TDR, VMV, and even teams like SKG suffer from is huge amount, sort of very high penalties. They suffer from the constant problem of they get really high penalties every single race. And that's a massive problem for teams. You know, and we've seen it a lot, especially on this year's game, that drivers try to push it a bit further to get that undercut or to get that overcut. Speedy sets the fastest lap of the race. But I think it becomes a bit too common to see it now, and I think, you know, you've got to be a bit of sliding there from David, but it's about being good at what you're doing. Speedy now makes a swap with his teammate Inver for P8. I think that was very much, I'd say, team orders, but you can see Connor is now within a second of Manolo. Oh, this is some of the drivers going longer into this race. Interesting strategy from them. A lot of tyre wear saved. It's very important on this year's game to have that tyre wear saved. But is it what they need? Manolo just gets out of the way. He's not... He knows his battle isn't even with them, to be honest. To be fair, I think he just knows his battle isn't even with them. And look at that, sort of 2 tenths and 1 single corner. That's how much they're gaining on fresh hards versus old mediums. See, you could still see the top 4 still going strong. Actually, sorry, the top 5 at the moment. Still going strong in this race as Mallow now makes his way in. Interesting to see, but here goes Connor down the inside. Is Speedy going to get that as well? Manilow also gets a 10-second time penalty, and he retires from the race. I think he knew his race was done the second he did that, but you could just see 3 drivers are all going to make their way past Theo for position. And that's a pretty easy one done for Connor, Speedy, and Inver in this race. Very easy one. Next is going to be LMB. That's the next one for Connor to hunt, and you can just see how quickly he's closing in. But luckily, for the top 4 now, the good thing that they've got is these guys have used their tyres a bit. You can see there's bits of sliding starting to come in. So with these guys using their tyres quite a bit, it allows, you know, it allows them to have that better tyre wear later. Like, Connor came in on lap 6 and only went out on those hards on lap 7. So he's already been on those hards from lap 7 to lap 12 so far, about to go on to lap 13. So he's going to have a bit of that wear kicking in now. But I've got to say about Mario, who's actually starting to pull quite far ahead. He's actually 2.7 seconds down the road from Liam Hiley. Liam's struggling a little bit here with his position as now Theo makes his way in. We've got to look to LMB, who might be under attack very shortly from Connor and Speedy, and then his teammate Inver. I bet we're going to be seeing some team games here. Whoa! And Liam loses the rear end there. I think that was quite a decent tap from Connor around the outside. But that's lost him some positions and maybe 2 seconds, second and a half, maybe 2 seconds there in lap time. So he's lost quite a big chunk, maybe. Yeah, so about, I'd say, 2-3 seconds in lap time there. But that was quite a big chunk he's lost. The Bar Tsunami has gone off further back. Looks like he's gone off into the wall. The Bar Tsunami not having a great day, but his teammate absolutely having a stonking day. So he's now just going to go straight across. I think we're going to be seeing a second retirement of the evening here. As now Mario does finally pull into the pit lane. Liam does not. Liam is staying out. He stayed behind Mario for the past 10 laps. He now, I think, wants to just get some clean air. Now David is on his way in. Is LMB in? No, he's not. He's still staying out longer. He's trying to, I think, maybe protect his teammate a bit. I don't know. Strange strategy to see from them. But look at this. There goes Speedy past Connor for position. And up to P2 for Speedy. And for SET, they're in a great position. P2 and P4. Exactly what they needed here tonight. Misha as well gets past LMB for position. The Bar Tsunami now also retires from the race. See David down in P12. Very far behind. And he's going to be waiting quite a while before the older hard tyres go off. LMB now gets a 3-second time penalty. That's not good. VRE not making the best of first impressions on the grid. Some unlucky, troublesome runs in qualifying and an unlucky half spin for LMB. Unlucky contact there for himself and just everything. Not working out perfectly at the moment for VRE this evening. Nothing really working out for VRE. But where is Liam going to come out? Because he's gone longer. He's going to get that 1 lap fresher tyre wear, of course. But where is he coming out? He's behind Mario. He's actually going to be down in P10. We thought Bourbon Boy was out of this, but actually he might be back in this. So actually Liam hasn't come out too well from going longer. And David's actually caught up a little bit more to Liam there. So in the end, that undercut maybe coming in quite strong. That is how it's gone for VRE and for TDR. So it's gone a bit backwards this evening. But now it's time to get catching up to the rest of the grid. Inver gets a 3-second time penalty. That's going to be bad for SET. That's going to push them down to about P5 in this race. So a bit further down. Apologies about having to pause. Somebody was messaging me very randomly. For some reason, Discord seems to stop sometimes when somebody actually just DMs me directly. Just direct message. Sometimes F1 seems to just close and it won't let me change it until everything else is. Now Mario makes his way past Willie, and that's how much better the fresh hards are. These fresh hards will most likely be able to go till the end of the race. So I think here OMB might be in for their second win of the season. I'll be very surprised if OMB get this second win. It will really bring them on. Oh, well, that's Alberto in the wall. Oh. Has he gotten wing damage from that? It looks like a end plate's come off. It looks like it might just be an end plate, and I think a little bit of front wing as well. Is he going to come in, do a stop for that? Or is he going to keep going? He might be able to keep going. I'm not sure he will be able to. Yeah, he's going to have to change that front wing. We don't want a third retirement tonight. OMB, one side of the garage with luck, the other side not so much. Unlucky there for himself. And he is coming into the pits now. Again, Mario makes up another position up to P4 in this race as he now chases Inver. He will get P3 because of penalties with Inver. But now he's chasing after this. It's looking like an interesting... It is actually looking like a very interesting race here. Looks like we've got a very interesting race on our hands. Because Mario is now in the position where he could win this. He's got a long way to go to catch up. He's got about 7 seconds. 8 seconds to catch up to the leader. But the good thing he's got is he's catching it probably, I'd say, about a second a lap at the moment. So he's catching up by a huge amount. You see to Inver, he's already gone from 2.7 down to 1.2. So Inver's really struggling on his hard tyres. So it's clear to see that none of the tyres seem to be having much tyre life at all here at Hungary. So we'll have to see how these drivers are going to do, especially Connor, because he was the earliest to go onto those tyres. So we're going to have to see how he does. Which is difficult, but you can see opening that rear wing now. Is Inver just going to be a sitting duck? Yes, he is. Is he going to battle that? He is actually going to battle that. I didn't think he would, but in the end, clean move there. And same for Liam as well. Also makes a clean move on 1 lap fresh tyres. He's not far behind, to be honest. He's not that far behind at all. Now he's closing down positions, or closing down time for P6 and P5 here in the race. Those are his next 2 places he's hunting down for. Been a bit of a struggle for Rosso this evening. They didn't have a great qualifying. I think it was P6, P10. I think it was P7 and P10. So I was correct with 1, but P7 and P10 was their qualifying. Last race, I think they got P3 and P4, so they actually had an incredible finish last week. I think they came out as the second, I think, highest point scoring team last week actually. If I remember correctly, they came out as the highest point scoring team out of last race. This race don't look like they're going to be. Inver's now coming in. Inver gets a 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. And again, so many drivers are making the same mistake. And look at this for David here. He's going to start to gain from this. As now Liam has made his way past Misha, who's not really sort of fighting this at all. Liam. Oh, well, that's 2 cars! Wow, I don't know what is going on with turn 3 today. Everybody seems to be going into turn 3 and not understanding 2 cars can't always go into that corner. For Liam, though, he's going to be very annoyed here because he's just lost about maybe 2 seconds. Probably close to about a second and a half, 2 seconds to the cars in front. And look at this. He's trying to go round the outside. Holy. That would have been... To be honest, that would have been one of the craziest moves I would have seen in this season. And down the inside, does he look... he just catches Misha out. Oh, he caught Misha out really well there. Just sticking the nose down the inside. Shocking there. One move happens, and another move happens as well as Mario now moves up into P2 in this race as he's 6 seconds behind Speedy. But it's just 6 seconds to track down. You could just see he's finding tenths within corners. He is just finding so much time. Will it be... I think it's between 3 teams at the moment. Invert makes his way past LMB for P11 on those fresher tyres, of course. But upper position he goes. Look at LMB. He's all over the back there, trying to keep up. But for Speedy here, he's actually in a bit of an unlucky situation because he's on the older tyres that cannot keep up. He's on the older tyres that just aren't keeping up at all. Even now, he's lost about 7/10 this lap so far. So 6-7/10. He's losing a lap. You know, that's huge chunks of time that he's losing out. And the biggest place the older tyre runners are losing out is in this final sector, actually. They're losing about 3-4 in the final sector alone, which is just huge amounts of time. They're losing in just one single sector. You know, they're losing about a second a lap at the moment. And that's just too big, you know, for them to lose out on. Willian into the pits as well. He feels like the hard tyres are done. He doesn't think they can go long. Obviously, about 14, 15 laps on the hard tyres. So it looks like others might have to pit, like David. David is actually catching up to Born Boy really well at the moment because he's closed down to about 2 seconds behind. But is it a little bit too late? Is it too little too late? That's the big question. He could follow in these early stoppers' footsteps. He could follow in the strategy that they're doing at the moment, you know, and stop when they stop. And so he comes out on equal tyres, but that gives him no advantage. Problem is, it's about managing the advantage and what you lose from going longer. And for David here, he's definitely going to have to stop again in this race. You know, that's how it always is with Hungary. It's usually, even on previous games, even like F1 23 or F1 24, it's pretty much always been a 2-stop race because of just the pure high tyre wear. See, he's closing down massively. Speedy now, by the way, has come into the pits. Speedy gets a 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That is going to demolish his chances of winning tonight's race. Very much. It almost completely destroys it. David now within a second of Bob Boy VRE. Up and down the order. I don't know where they are in relative to each other. I don't know where they are because I'd say at the moment VRE might be looking to about 7th in the grid based off of pace. About maybe at most, based off of this race so far, they are about 6th. I'd say out of the 10 teams are about 6th. Of course, UFRT not here, SKG not here, so possibly I'd say probably about 7th or 8th in the grid at the moment when it comes down to pace out of this race. Of course, the mystery race, next race, you know, they'll probably have a better chance because it is, of course, a planned race. It's, you know, you don't just find out literally a minute before we start with the wheel spin. You'll know for the entire week, so you can practice well. And look at this. Speedy really getting a bit of a hurry on. Connor also gets a 10-second time penalty for speeding into the pit lane. Looks like everybody's getting the same penalty. This is strange. Very, very strange. But for David here, he might be in a good spot because it means he could actually gain places through this, to be fair. because he's just about on that edge where he could get into there. And look at this. He's actually straight onto the back of Bourbon Boy for position. Now he's just got to keep up with him. So the battle is definitely on for some sort of points for VRE, or for their first day, which is better than none, ultimately. But Speedy back up into P3, chasing the top two who haven't gotten penalties, which interests me even more, because it just seems like these second runs have been full of drivers just getting penalties. So, I don't know. Some have, some haven't. Is it some people just misjudging where the pit lane starts? I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know whether they're just misjudging where the speed limiter starts, actually, which I suspect a lot of people are. It's either a game glitch, which means their penalties will get removed if they report it. But if it's not a game glitch, then it's just them not being, not telling, not making the right decision and going too late. And, as Born Boy also gets a 10-second time penalty. You can see it's earlier in the pit lane as well. I think that's what people are doing. They're speeding up too much, thinking it's the next line. That's what it looks like. People seem to be thinking it's the next pit entry line. They think it's the next line. They don't think it's that line. That's what people are getting confused by. I very much believe that's what they're getting confused by. So that's going to be interesting. That is interesting to see that it looks like it's mostly driver error here. They just haven't realised where the pit entry line actually is. So, looking at the grid, one stop for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drivers out of the remaining 13. Tyres, everybody's on hards. I suspect that's probably going to stay till the end of the race. Positions so far, Mario up 1, Liam down 1. Speedy's in the same place he started in. David's up a few places. Connor's down quite a few. He didn't have a great pit stop, actually. That's really hurting for where he is at the moment. Penalties as well. Theo and Imber and Connor and Bourbon Boy and Speedy all on really large amounts of penalties. Somebody's had a moment. It's Connor. Connor's had a moment. He's had a moment into the wall. Oh, no. Oh. I don't know what to say. As Connor retires from the race, it was looking so good for him all race, and now it's just fallen apart. 10 laps to go as well. Alberto also retires. Interesting. Interesting to see. But, yeah, it's strange to see. I will say, guys, I'm going to be honest. It's very strange to see the low numbers of drivers this week as well. 15. We should have had 18. One V&V driver couldn't make it, and the 2 SKG drivers weren't available. So, for some reason, team and a half basically weren't here. UFRT as well dropped out of the championship before this race. This morning, actually, by the way. It's when they let me know that they were dropping out of the No Assist Championship. Just purely down to numbers and their chance of taking any prize money, which is quite sad. I will say that it is, it's sad for me. Great team, great drivers in it, great people, but very nice people, but sadly not not what they wanted. But yeah, that's the way it goes. They're still in assists and falls for the moment, so don't be worried. Bourbon Boy has now just set the fast lap of the race. I think again, I've spoke to a couple of managers, and they've mentioned about driving standards at the moment, and I do agree with them. That the driving standards are poorer than they were on last year's game. If you guys ever wonder what's changed between last year's game and this year's game, it's just the quality. But I think it's the mechanics of this year's game. It's a lot harder to overtake on this year's game, so people take bigger chances. They try to, you know what I mean. They try to sort of do bigger dive bombs. They try to do bigger things, and it just doesn't work. Doesn't work on this year's game, as it used to. Like on last year's game, where people could follow. Dirtier has, stopped a lot of that from working. Pit stops as well, and how they've changed a bit. So, gaps are a bit different compared to last year's game. And tyres are harder to run better. But what I've just noticed is VRE are probably going to the end of this race on these hard tyres that they have been nurturing for 13 laps already. This was when others came in when it was about 14 to 15 laps. And latest was 3 laps ago with Bourbon Boy. And he was going from about lap 5, by the way. Lap 5 till lap 24. So he went about 19 laps. But there's not 6 more laps this race. There's 7. So they're going to be going till about lap 20 on those tyres. Lap 20, maybe 19 on those tyres roughly. But for VRE, I can see this would work great for them because they still hold on to points positions as now. Speedy goes up into P2. The one stop, has it worked entirely for TDR? I don't think it has. I don't think it's worked for anyone entirely. But yeah, we've got to look back to LMB, who's going to be under a bit of an assault from EVR Misha. He's trying to go round the outside. You could just see how much fresher those hard tyres are. This is possibly what the drivers trying to do, one stops should have thought about, is how much better their hard tyres were when they were fresh. And now, and just thinking about that gap into when these drivers would have their second stops, it might have made more sense to stop then. But drivers will always risk it. For Speedy, he pretty much knows he can't win this race. Unless he finds a large gap ahead of Mario, he pretty much knows it's going to be impossible. Unless he gets a giant gap in like 2-3 laps. But, for some of these drivers, it is a chance for them to get points. It is a chance for them to get somewhere. Misha now, of course, chasing down P5 in this race. Misha chasing down P5. He's definitely going to get about probably P4 after penalties. Not post-race penalties, just race penalties. You can see the penalties are quite varying in size. But, yeah. I said earlier that I know lower numbers sometimes in lobbies come down to the time of year it is. LMB gets another 3-second time penalty. And I will say, it is very much time of year. It's, it's middle of August. It's still holiday season for a lot of people. A lot of people are still on holiday, have either just gone on holidays, or they're just coming back from holidays. So they're taking a few days away. So... a lot of people on holiday at the moment. So teams, I know a lot of teams. I know at least about 6 or 7 teams who are all struggling for numbers going into races and stuff. I do know that. So I don't get annoyed with any teams when it comes down to the fact that, they don't have exactly the numbers they want. As now LMB drops down to P9 in this race. Drops behind Willian. Hasn't worked out for himself. Maybe David will have a bit of a better chance. Maybe or not with his penalties. We'll have to see. How many penalties does he have? He has 6 seconds. Same as LMB. Probably P8 and P9. So only about 7 points. Sorry, only about 5 points at the end of the evening. Which will still put them last in the championship as it stands. David didn't have his penalties, he might have actually been finishing higher up, but that's just being unlucky. I will say it's very much unlucky, you know. But it is a mystery race. But yeah, I think I know after the assists mystery race, there was actually, I know some teams have criticised mystery races, saying it just makes it harder. Here comes Misha around the outside. I'll leave that minute of talking. See, look at this. David's really fighting it for position. He really doesn't want to let go of P5 here. He's going to battle that P5. He's going to battle for the position here. Misha's got to leave space. He's got to make sure he doesn't do what he did last time, and he doesn't. And he keeps onto position there. And David, P6, down a position, but Misha up a place and up into the battle for P4. Looks like he'll finish P4 in this race ultimately, but maybe will David as well finish just... Will he also possibly finish up a place as well because of Inver's penalties? Because Inver has 13 seconds, so at the moment it's sitting at about 13, so he's just about on that edge of getting those penalties. And there's a change of the lead. Speedy battling for the lead. OMB cannot allow that. You can see Mario is trying his hardest. He tries, but Speedy into the lead. But with his penalties, Mario will still win tonight's race. But of course, it's the thing of crossing the line in first. And whoa! What a move from Mario back up into the lead of this race. 4 laps to go. And battling is getting fierce for the lead. I think that's because Speedy might be trying to get his penalties removed post-race. So looks like he might be trying to get the chance all for himself. But as I was going to say, mystery races and assists. When we did the mystery race and assists, I will say it was very positive. We got quite a bit of positivity coming from some teams about it. They liked the switch up. They liked the change, and just to make sure, you know, everything was clear in future. But, you know, that was the only detail. They were just like, just so we can know how it's going to work a little bit earlier, and that was all clear. But there were 1 or 2 teams that were a bit against it. But here comes Speedy again. 1 lap later, they're going at this position again. But Speedy, he's chosen to try and do the switchback. But look at that, great from Mario. He's really defended that well. And again, Speedy, is he going to go down the inside? No, he's not. He's actually keeping back here. I think Speedy knows he cannot get past Aston Martin for the life of him here. It's going to be really difficult to get past the Aston Martin for position in these final 3 laps of the race. It's always difficult as the race starts to come to an end. It's always difficult when it starts to come towards the end of the race. David's having a battle for P6 here. Whoa! And there goes Petrosian, who goes off. That looks like it was a bit of lag there, but Petrosian off the road. Looks like just a bit of contact there. And a bit unlucky for both sides. But you can see Speedy all over the back. David gets another 3-second time. That rules him out of a position there. Looks like he'll probably finish P8 in the end. So P8 and P9, 5 points for VRE here tonight. Speedy following behind again. He's... Oh! Look at that! Going all the way onto the grass. He wants this lead. He wants to have it. He needs this lead. You can see he really wants it. So does Mario. And again, side by side through turn 3. Who's going to get this? But again, Mario. Whoa! And that's a bit too early from Speedy. He's made a move a little bit too early. Still dragging each other around corners. Down the inside. Go Speedy. But ultimately, Mario just staying out in front. Speedy down the inside again. Oh, as they collide, Mario has to go off the track. He has to go off the track there. He lets Speedy pass on track, so he doesn't get a penalty. That is a good move for himself. It means there's not going to be any students, because I just know that SET will go for that. And you can see Speedy, look at that. He wants the DRS. He wants to keep this battle going. But this battle is actually allowing Liam to catch up, by the way. And very soon we're going to be going on to the final lap of the race. One final lap. To lap 35 of 35. And off we start. One final lap, 2 DRS zones. 3 sectors remaining. Into turn 1 they go. On the inside, this time Mario goes. That's where Speedy was the last time. Speedy gets the exit though. He's actually come out right in front there. And around the outside, Mario knows he can't get the outside move done. Oh, that's a massive slide for Speedy. Look at this. They're really making this a battle for the lead. Speedy saved up the ERS though because of him having DRS down the pit straight and down that back straight. It's allowed him to pull out in front of Mario for position. Speedy now leads. He's only got to complete basically 2 sectors on track to cross the line in first, but penalties will drop him down quite a few places. I'm not sure where he's going to drop down to, probably about P3. But what a race that has been for the lead. Speedy's trying to get that 3-second gap into this final sector, at least if he can get the 10 seconds removed. 3-second gap he's hoping for. Maybe it will come his way. 2 corners to go here tonight. The final corner comes round. It's not going to be OMB. It's not going to be TDR. It will be SET and Speedy who wins in Hungary and FRLT. No assists, Season 5, but ultimately with penalties, Mario wins, followed by Liam. LMB gets another penalty. You can see Invert crosses the line. He gets another penalty as well. Not sure why he's getting another penalty. Very unsure why people are getting so many penalties. In the end, Misha, P4, William, P5, Petrosian, P6. David will finish P8. LMB, P9. Born Boy, P10. Double points for VRE on day 1, and Theo will be last. And that will be the final position. Interesting evening. Interesting race. Interesting evening. I think, of course, some teams, I don't think any team really came away the way they wanted to in the end. I think a lot of teams know that they didn't come away perfectly tonight. I think a lot of them know that it was an interesting race in the end. But it's OMB on the top step for the 2nd time in 7 races. TDR as well taking a podium here tonight. Massive podium for them. First podium of the season. Another podium for SET. Let's go through the order of the grid. It is Mario who wins, then Liam, then Speedy, then Misha, William, Petrosian, then Invert, David, LMB, Born Boy, and then Theo with the retirements being Alberto, Connor, the Bard Tsunami, and Manolo. With that, guys, that is the end of the race. That is also the end of the stream, sadly. What an incredible... But, interesting in the end. Very interesting race. As you could probably hear, I'm quite tired from that race as it was very interesting. But in the end, some very incredible racing, especially towards the end from the top 2. Brilliant racing from the top 2. Really, really good. Overall, good race to see. Hopefully next week we'll have a couple more drivers. not 15. Hopefully a bit more of a full grid. But in the end, guys, that is everything. I hope you've enjoyed it. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Also, click on that notification bell to know about all the content we'll be doing from videos, shorts, and streams. I will make sure I get shorts this week. I do apologise, guys. I've been really busy lately. But in the end, thank you, guys. And I hope you have a great week. Make sure to join us on Sunday. So make sure to join us on Sunday for Falls at 8 PM. Make sure to do that. It's very much turning out to be an interesting race. An interesting championship, I should say, in season. But ultimately, thank you so much. And I'll see you guys very soon. Goodbye. Look at this! Look at the mounting, and it is a safety car! Here comes Mika into slow corner. Whoa! Almost! And away we go here in the Netherlands for F1 down towards the next cover. Oh, and it's! Oh my god! Whoa! Bit of a season as Nolo wins in Monza for FRLT.